Welcome to the Burn Boot Camp podcast. I'm Ashley Hearn. I am your host today as we continue our series on women's health. Today, we are going to be talking about the various phases of a woman's menstrual cycle and how that can impact your fitness, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I've definitely had those days where I go in to work out and I come out of my workout and I'm like, that just felt terrible, right? And I have no idea why. I've eaten properly. I've had my water to drink. There's no real reason why I should feel like I was sluggish or moving through mud, and yet I did. But have we ever stopped to consider that it could be your hormones, right? As women, as we go through our monthly menstrual cycle, our hormones are varying. Now, we talk about PMS a lot, right? That's the one everybody talks about. Oh, like I'm in such a bad mood, I have PMS, but there are actually 4 phases to a woman's cycle, and every one of them is different, and every one of them has different hormonal factors for us to consider. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how those things, as your hormones ebb and flow, knowledge and knowing about those can impact kind of what we do with our fitness journey, how we're feeling, how we can make adjustments accordingly with our nutrition, with our workouts, so that we can work out and feel our very best. So here I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of a disclaimer. So I am certainly not an expert on this topic. It's really not been a widely talked about topic until recently, which I'm so glad that we're finally starting to have these conversations. As always, talk to your doctors first. Your doctors are your first source of information. Every woman is different. Every woman has different factors to consider with her periods, right? There's no one size fits all. But what I want to do today is to try to make sense of kind of all of the information that's out there, just kind of give us a high overview, right, of what's happening during each phase of our cycle, how we might be feeling, and then how we can adjust accordingly to fuel our bodies and move our bodies in a way that's optimal while we're experiencing these things during our cycle. And so just remember, again, I want to say all women are different. And so if you're listening to this and maybe your cycle's a little shorter or longer, these things can all vary, but this gives you an idea. One thing I recommend highly, if this is something that interests you, if you do feel like, wow, I really am impacted during different parts of my menstrual cycle, download a period tracker and keep track of it, right? What are the symptoms you're experiencing? How's your cognitive function? What are your energy levels like? What cravings are you experiencing, right? Because if you can track it over time, you'll start to notice trends that are yours, right? So we can talk overview, but if you track your own cycle, you track how you're feeling, your symptoms, then you can more specifically pinpoint maybe which of these cycles you're in, why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and then you can make adjustments that are tailored to you based on that. So I highly recommend doing that no matter what phase of life you're in, whether you're a young teenager who's just starting to experience these things, or whether you're a little bit older, you're going through perimenopause, you're in menopause, you're past menopause, right? We can maybe still benefit from keeping track of those things. So with all that said, we're going to dive right into the first phase of our menstrual cycle, which is the menstrual phase. Now, this can vary, but it's the first day of your period till the end of your period. So anywhere from days 1 to 6 or 7 is that menstrual phase. So when that happens, our estrogen is at its lowest of the month, okay? So because of that, your energy is going to match that low estrogen level, and you might feel really depleted and low in energy. Your body is working extra hard, you're losing nutrients due to blood loss, and that adds to that low energy level. So when we're feeling that low energy level during our period, right? We might be experiencing traditional period symptoms as well, bloating, cramping, headaches, all of those things. What should our workouts look like? So here's the deal. We can continue our exercise as normal based on how our body feels. My biggest message in all of that is listen to your body. What does your body need during this time? It might need more rest, right? You might need to prioritize more rest days. You may not be a 6-day-a-week workout, right, during your menstrual cycle. It may be more like 3 or 4. You may want to prioritize things like yoga, stretching, recovery, right? And this is why I love Burn Boot Camp, because we want to train the whole person. If you are not subscribed to the Burn Boot Camp app, you are missing out on so many different options that you can take part of when we're feeling like this, right? We have yoga on demand. We have stretching on demand, right? We have foam rolling on demand. All of these are ways that we can continue to move our body in a way that's really beneficial, especially when we are feeling depleted because our estrogen is low, our nutrients are low, right? So that we cannot feel like well, man, I really don't think that I can prioritize a HIIT workout today. Well, can I do 20 minutes of yoga? Absolutely. And then you're still moving your body in a way that's beneficial to you. So if you're not on demand, get on demand, because this is how we can continue to move our body in a way that feels really good during whatever phase we're in. Let's talk a little bit about nutrition during this phase. So there's a lot more inflammation happening in your body during your menstrual cycle, during this phase. So we want to limit foods that create inflammation. So think sugar, think dairy, caffeine, alcohol, right? All of those things are going to create more inflammation in our body. So this is the time we want to eliminate them, or definitely keep them at a low level, right? And we want to prioritize nutrient-dense foods, right? Especially things like vitamin C that are going to help boost our immunity, which is going to make us feel better when our body is depleted of nutrients and our estrogen is low. So that's kind of that first cycle, that menstrual cycle. We're all probably pretty familiar with that one, right? It's something that is more talked about. So I want to move us into the follicular phase. Now, this does actually overlap our menstrual cycle. It's days about 1 through 12. So it's from that first day of our period and beyond the end of it. So it's that pre-egg release. So our estrogen is at its lowest when that menstruation starts, but then our estrogen and our progesterone start to rise, okay? As they go up, our energy levels will match. They'll start to rise as well. With that, our cognitive function increases, our mood increases, our confidence increases. We start to feel better. So our energy increases. That means we can start to feel better in our workout. So you might notice, a couple days after my period, I'm starting to feel better. My cardio is feeling better. I have more stamina. I have more endurance. I can pick up heavier weights. Now, our testosterone is gradually increasing. So it's still a little bit lower at the beginning of this phase. So we're not at like that peak energy level yet. So we may feel like our stamina is not quite where we want to be. When we're feeling that, when you're starting to feel those days where, man, I'm feeling a little bit better, I have more energy, cardio is feeling great, but my stamina is not quite there, it's okay to prioritize a little bit more rest, right? If you've got to take a break in a station and a workout, take a break, take a second, right? That's normal. Don't beat yourself up when you're feeling that way. As that testosterone raises, you're going to get back to that peak energy level, but you're not there quite yet. So that's okay. Know that. If you know that, then you can plan for it. And you know, gosh, okay, it's burst training today. I'm really going to take advantage of that 20 seconds of active recovery because I know my body needs it to go back into at full force, right? Another thing we can do is prioritize things that are going to help us with our stamina, like Ignite, right? So we have those supplements, that pre-workout. If we know, hey, I'm in my follicular phase, my energy is increasing, but my stamina is not quite where I want it to be, Ignite is a great source to help you be able to move a little bit more, right? To give you that increased stability in those lifts when you're working out, to be able to go a little bit heavier, to go a little bit longer in those cardio sessions. And we really want to prioritize just a simple, well-balanced diet, right? Getting the nutrients in that we need, prioritizing our protein. We're doing that all the time, but we're definitely doing this during our follicular phase because that is going to help increase that stamina that we may be lacking just a little bit still. As we get towards the end of that follicular phase, we're going to start to see that energy go up, right? So maybe we are able to do 5-6 days a week towards the end of this phase, whereas at the beginning, we may take a little bit more rest days, prioritizing those stretching, the yoga, the things like that. But as we move towards the end of our follicular phase, we're then getting into our ovulatory phase. And the good news is, this is when we feel the best. The bad news is it's the shortest phase. So it's days like 13 through 17. Again, this is all going to vary based on the length of your cycle. But this is when our estrogen peaks, our progesterone and testosterone, they're on the rise. So we're feeling really, really good. So this is when we're feeling strong, we're feeling confident, we're feeling happy, energized. Our cognitive function is at its peak, mental clarity, all of those things. We're feeling awesome. So this is when our workouts, we're going HIIT workouts. We're going to feel great in our metabolic conditioning, right? It's a great time to PR on those lifts, right? Because your body is feeling strong. You're feeling empowered. You don't need as much recovery. You don't have to prioritize those rest days quite as much. You may be able to hit 6 out of 6 days during your ovulatory phase, right? You're going to need less rest and less recovery. Now, we're always prioritizing a rest day. We're always prioritizing recovery. We're always stretching. We're always doing mobility and things like that that are going to benefit us in our workouts. But during this phase, you can do more HIIT training. You can do all of those things because you're feeling good. You don't need the recovery. One little tip that I'm going to give you during this phase, obviously well-balanced nutrition, protein, carbohydrates, all of those things we're going to keep doing. But for some reason, this is also when our sugar cravings can be boosted. So pre-plan for that. Have those healthy sweet treats on hand so that you know, why am I craving sugar today? Well, it's because you're in your ovulatory phase. You're ovulating, right? So go ahead and pre-plan. Have those little healthy sweet treats on hand so you can grab those. You're ready for it. You don't binge on something that you're going to regret later that's going to make you have that crash while you're feeling really good. So that's my little tip for nutrition during this phase. So ovulatory phase, we're feeling great. We're getting in our workouts as we move into that luteal phase. So this is that final phase. And this occurs just after ovulation. So your estrogen and your testosterone are going to start to decline as your progesterone does increase. So at the beginning of this, you may still be feeling kind of the highs from your ovulatory phase. Take advantage of it, right? While you're still feeling that high, you're still feeling that energy boost, you're still feeling that confidence, that cognitive function. Take advantage of it. Get in those HIIT workouts, lift those heavy weights, right? But as it progresses toward our period, we're going to start to see those hormones decline and your energy is going to begin to wane. Your mood is going to begin to decrease. We're going to start to see those premenstrual syndrome symptoms creep in. This is the phase that we talk about, right? PMS. We're going to start to, the stress response increases. We've got the headaches, anxiety, mood swings, bloating, right? All of the water weight that we start to feel as our period nears. So we're going to start to feel those things, those classic premenstrual syndrome symptoms, they start to come on. So we're going to need to prioritize our water, right? That's going to be really important during this time. And for our workouts, this is a great time to really prioritize your strength days, right? So at the beginning of the phase, you're still feeling energized, those cardio days, get them in, feel great about them. But as we get closer to our period, strength days are going to become our best friend because that's where we're going to feel the best, right? We're going to be able to get those lifts in, feel really good. We may have to decrease our load and that's okay. Give yourself permission, right? If you know I'm in my luteal phase, my period's about to start, I'm just not feeling quite as strong, I'm feeling a little bit lethargic, I've got some bloating, I've got a headache, right? Cramping is happening. It's okay to decrease your weight. Give yourself some grace, give yourself permission, knowing what's happening in your body to adjust your workouts to match, right? So you may need to start prioritizing those recovery days again. That's okay too. That's why we have those options on demand. For nutrition, so this phase is where it's really important. So we're going to avoid salty foods, processed foods, right? Things that are going to make us feel even more bloated because that's going to happen naturally, right? With those hormone fluctuations. We want to add in magnesium-rich foods, right? So think nuts, seeds, leafy greens, avocados, bananas, because during this time, our sleep becomes interrupted because of those fluctuating and decreasing hormone levels. So those things are going to help prioritize your sleep, which is also going to help you feel better in your workouts. And then we also want to give those foods that are going to fight fatigue. So think dark chocolate, which who doesn't love that? Spinach, pumpkin seeds, right? Those things are going to help us fight fatigue, which we are going to experience during this time. So knowing that this is how you're feeling and why, we can then plan accordingly with our nutrition to give ourselves grace during our workouts. And really the overall takeaway from all of this, right? Now we have this information. What do I do with it, right? If you're charting your cycle, you're writing down your symptoms, right? When we have that knowledge and we feel the way we feel, then we know what to do with it, right? I know, okay, I'm feeling really good during my ovulatory phase. This is when I'm going to pick up those heavy weights. I'm going to work on those PRs. I'm going to get in my HIIT training, right? But as that starts to wane, I might know that I might need to lift lighter weights, that I need to prioritize rest and recovery. And I can give myself grace in that instead of having this, I got to push through all the time mentality that we put on ourselves as women, right? There's really a beauty in learning to listen to your body and to respond accordingly, right? Because overall, that is empowerment. That's what we're all about at Burn Bootcamp. Knowledge is power. And when I know these things, it empowers me to make the best choices I can for my workouts so that I'm feeling good every day of the month. I'm moving my body every day in a way that benefits me and isn't counterproductive, isn't pushing through something when I should be listening and responding accordingly, maybe with a yoga instead of a HIIT workout, right? Maybe with walking, maybe with strength training, right? All of those things can benefit us throughout the month, right? So that we can move our bodies. I don't ever want us to feel like, well, I can't move my body. Yes, you can. It just may look a little bit different during the different phases of your cycle. So I hope you walk away from this with a little bit of knowledge, maybe a little bit of a plan, right? A little bit of a challenge to start listening to your body, paying attention to the symptoms. What is your body telling you that you need? And then respond accordingly so that you can keep moving at all times. So hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I'm going to take us out. 2 claps on 2, 1, 2.